Hannibal's crossing of the Alps in 218 BC was a remarkable military feat that involved him leading his Carthaginian army, along with a number of elephants, through the treacherous terrain of the Alps mountains in order to invade Italy from the north. Hannibal arrived with his army in northern Italy, surprising the Romans who had already withdrawn to their winter quarters. This led to the cancellation of Rome's planned invasion of Africa. The Carthaginians had exhausted their food reserves and needed to obtain supplies while also recruiting allies from the North Italian Gallic tribes. However, the local tribe, the Taurini, were unwelcoming, prompting Hannibal to besiege their capital and storm it. He then massacred the population and seized the supplies. Hannibal's brutal actions were intended to send a clear message to the other Gallic tribes about the consequences of non-cooperation. Hearing that Publius Scipio was operating in the region, Hannibal assumed that the Roman army in Marsala, which he had believed to be en route to Iberia, had returned to Italy and reinforced the army already based in the north. This led to Hannibal feeling an even more pressing need to recruit strongly among the Gauls. Both Hannibal and Scipio attempted to inspire the ardor of their men for the coming battle by making fiery speeches to their assembled armies. Hannibal stressed to his troops that they had to win, whatever the cost, as there was no place they could retreat to. Next day, each commander led out a strong force to personally reconnoiter the size and makeup of the opposing army, about which they would have been almost completely ignorant. And so, with tensions rising and both armies ready to fight, the stage was set for the first major battle of the Second Punic War, the Battle of Ticinus. As Hannibal approached the Romans, he prepared for battle by recalling all his scouts and raiding parties, and taking with him an exclusively cavalry force. This cavalry consisted of Libyans and Numidians, who were light skirmishers, and Iberians, who were unarmored close-order troops. Scipio's army consisted of 4 legions, with approximately 16,000 infantry and 1,600 cavalry. Anticipating that his cavalry would be outnumbered, Scipio supplemented his 3,600 cavalry with a large but unknown number of the 4,500 or so available velites. The stage was set for a battle that would be fiercely contested between the two sides, each determined to emerge victorious. Hannibal and his forces formed a tight formation, with Spanish cavalry in front and Numidian light cavalry in 2 groups behind them. Scipio, the Roman consul, replied with his velites in the front, aiming to use javelin throws to soften up Hannibal's cavalry. Gallic allies positioned behind them, while Roman cavalry waited in reserve. As the two armies approached each other, Hannibal noticed that the Roman cavalry was smaller than his own and made an instantaneous choice not to engage in skirmishing with the velites. Instead, he ordered a full-fledged assault on the Roman front lines. Scipio promptly replied by pushing his cavalry forward, but the velites couldn't even muster a single javelin volley before the Carthaginians pounced. Unlike the customary mobile cavalry clashes of the day, a furious and brutal fight ensued. In the chaos of close-quarters warfare, horses spooked, and many riders dismounted to fight more effectively on foot. The combat appeared to be inconclusive for a while, but this was another ploy by Hannibal. He waited until the majority of the Roman cavalry had been committed before sending his Numidians on a flanking maneuver. The Romans were completely caught off guard, as the noose began to tighten around their troop. Scipio was knocked off his horse during the brawl, and Carthaginian troops rushed in to kill off the wounded commander. But he was saved at the last moment. According to some versions, the Roman consul was saved by a Ligurian slave, while the more famous version tells that his 17-year-old son Publius charged to save his father with a handful of Roman horsemen that swarmed around the consul before withdrawing back towards the Roman camp. As word of Hannibal's triumph spread, Gallic tribes dispatched delegates to express their gratitude. It was a gloomy day for Rome, and it marked the start of a long and arduous war against their most obstinate opponent.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative historical cinematic battles. Make sure to subscribe and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.